One. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NCW, also known as New Comic Wednesday. If you haven't been with us before, we chat for a few minutes every Wednesday about Zenescope's newest releases. If you don't know who I am your NCW host, Amber, and I have two lovely co-hosts today that are on screen right now, which are Pat Shan as well as Casey. And so we're really mixing it up here, and you'll find out why in just a moment. However, if you're looking for Zenescope's newest releases, you'll head to Zenescope.com, you'll press new releases, and then everything that has been recently released, you'll be able to see going back. Thank you, Casey, for showing us. So you can also get our latest releases on Comixology as well as at your local comic shop. On top of that, to make sure that you never miss an NCW, you never miss a copy with Casey and Noah, you never miss VCon, never miss any of those things, make sure that you subscribe, and you push that notification bell to ensure that you always subscribe to our YouTube channel. But also, so you can get the latest of everything Zen, our podcast episodes, you'll find out about our latest collectibles, etc. So that is my intro, and these are my two lovely co-hosts. And the reason they're both here is because we thought that Van Helsing Flesh and Blood was coming out this week. It is not. It is coming out next week. So Pat joined, and we're like, you're going to stay on here. And we were just talking a little bit about fantasy football very briefly. So say hello to the audience members.
Hello. I do need some help for fantasy football, but everyone head over to our tinyurl.com/Destiny New York 6. My Kickstarter is going to go live on Tuesday. And if I'm here, I'm going to support that.
Yes. Pat will be on next Wednesday as well at 3 p.m. Right, Pat?
Yeah, when Van Helsing actually comes out, I will be here. It's going to be a fun time. I shall be here.
You know, I have this lovely guest in my comments. Would you ever want to come on NCW? Because I really would like for you to come on NCW. But I don't have your email address, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about some of the Grimm fairy tale stories. So let me know. Also, feel free to shoot me an email about it. I'm going to drop my email right now. Thank you. So next week, I will not be on hosting NCW. I will be in the UK. So Casey will be hosting NCW, and she will be hosting it with Pat, who needs help with fantasy football.
I do. I just learned that I need a new tight end, which AO. And I just need some help. You know, I don't know how to do this. I
think you have some good choices on the bench. You just need to make a few switches, and I think you can beat Ralph Tedesco.
I want to. That's my main goal now that you said that is to beat Ralph. Yeah.
Right? Everybody hashtag Team Shand in the comments.
Yeah. That's what Zenescope's social should be pressing is hashtag Team Shand. I just want all the support. I'm the underdog this season. I don't know anything about this. And so help me out. Where do I go to log in? ESPN?
Okay, so it's ESPN Fantasy.
Okay.
So you can click the link that I sent you.
Oh, yeah, I have it. Yeah, it says join this league, but
but you're already in, so you should be able to go in, and then you just change around your players. You say edit lineup, and then you swap your players.
All right. I have Team Shand. Where does it say edit lineup though? Hold on.
Well,
you have to go to the actual matchup of it. So while Pat continues to look, we will dive in a little bit about this week's release, which we thought was Van Helsing. But it's not. Next week's release is Van Helsing, so make sure that you come on next week to talk about it. But this week's release there's two releases. We have a graphic novel release, and we have a single issue release. And this week's single issue is Robyn Hood, Baba Yaga, which is $5.99 in our web store right now. It was written by our own Joe Brescia, and we have 4 beautiful covers that Casey is going to host up. And meanwhile, Pat, feel free to ask more fantasy football questions as everybody picks what cover is their favorite this week.
My favorite is the Ivan Tao for sure. That's cover C. And do I press drop players and get rid of this bitch George Kittle?
Don't get rid of George Kittle because if he's uninjured, then if he gets off the injured reserve list, then you'll have lost him and somebody else will pick him up.
Okay.
Yeah. you want to add players, but if you don't have enough space on your bench, then you have to drop someone else, but don't drop George Kittle.
Okay. I have an empty slot called IR.
That's exactly where you want to put George Kittle.
Yes,
Okay,
you move him. Yep, move him to IR, injured reserve, and then you'll have a free bench position open to then pick up a tight end.
All right, I hit move and move turn. Oh, it's not letting me. Oh, because I have room on my bench, so I should pick someone else before I move George, right? Because it's not going move next to the IR.
Oh, interesting. Is he IR this week or is he Q?
He's Q.
Oh, so maybe they won't let him because he's questionable.
He's not out.
That's
yet.
like LGBTQ.
And that's like Q is in. Meanwhile, while Pat continues to do this, these are your 4 beautiful covers. I'm really interested by Ivan Tao's cover and cover C because he picked red, which is a very interesting choice for this cover. I like the choice. I'm just very interested by it because, we'd assume that he would pick green, but he did not. So those are your 4 beautiful covers. I will quickly read the synopsis. Baba Yaga is back in Big Apple, and Robyn is none too happy about it. The evil witch is in town and up to no good, and she's not about to let Robyn get in the way of her secret mission. And if Baba has to kill her to complete it, all the better. Things aren't looking good for New York City's biggest hero. So again, that's $5.99 in our web store right now. We have 4 beautiful covers. Yes, this is a fantasy football tutorial that we are doing right now. So if you are joining us, that is the reason why. But to reiterate, we thought that Pat was coming on to talk about Van Helsing Flesh of Blood. Turns out that we weren't. I just want to quickly talk about Flesh of Blood before I dive in a little bit about Robyn Hood, Baba Yaga. But Rick, that's all I'll say. We get a return of Rick, and I like the return of Rick. I'm kind of interested to see where we'll go with Rick after that, or do we feel like Rick's maybe out of the storyline for a while again?
I feel that the storyline has completed with Rick. Helsing to me has always had a love of her life, and Rick is someone who she was trying to bring in and kind of embrace his normalcy. And that didn't work. He ended up pretty traumatized. And even in her trying to avoid him, he was, again, in this issue, more stuff happens, obviously. We're not going to have Rick and just have him, not address what happened to him before. And in Return of the League of Monsters, he was his soul was put into this ghoul's body, and he was taken to hell, the underworld. And that is obviously, he's a normal guy. Very shortly before this, he didn't even know about supernatural things at all. So for him to go through this, I'd say it's a major red flag for him toward Liesel. So yeah, it's yeah.
Do you think that then the love of her life is Hades?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Well, so that's just a teaser for the next week's questions that Pat and Casey will be talking about in next week's release, Van Helsing Flesh of Blood. But this week's release, Robyn Hood, Baba Yaga. I won't dive too much into the storyline, but we do get a lot of callbacks to some very recent Robyn Hood storylines. And as always, Joe Brusha continues to amaze me with his emotional storytelling and his emotional empathy that he has for his characters. And it's incredible. So again, check it out, $5.99 in our web store currently. What is it like? And I don't know how often you read Robyn Hood now, Pat, but what is it like to watch a character that you helped develop, that you wrote for so long, and to see somebody else writing it? Like, do you keep up with that storyline? Do you try to go back to it?
I'll be real. I haven't, but just because, I wrote for Zenescope for so long when I was a staff writer that I felt so entrenched in the characters, and pretty much everything that I would read had become Zenescope. There was a time where I was also reviewing everything on a printer site, and my reading fell away and was 100% Grim Universe. And that's why for a while after I left my exclusive position, I didn't read the titles because I had read so much of them, and it was actually reading Dave's Bell that brought me back and showed me how much had changed in the universe, and made me want to, talk to Joe and start doing some work for hire again, because so much had changed. And yeah, he's nursing on his leg, by the way. He believes that his leg is his mother's teat, so he nurses on it and just has me hold.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I haven't caught up. I did in my research for Hellsing, it's what I do is when I take on a title, I want to read every word the characters ever said, which I just did. I co-created Mary Medina with Joe and Ralph back during my Arcaneka run, and since then she's become Mystere. So when I wrote Mystere in an upcoming issue of Van Helsing, I then went back and read all of the Mystere content between the end of my Grim Fairy Tales run and what we're doing now. So I am exhaustive in my research. But so for Robyn Hood, what I did read was Van Helsing versus Robyn Hood, because I wanted to see where Liesl had been between the end of my run and the start of my next run. And that was cool, but if I ever write that is another word of what Robyn says, then I'll go back and read what everyone has done since then. Yeah.
Very interesting. And I know Casey will dive, again, a teaser for next week on NCW, but I don't want to put you right on the spot, Casey. However, what were your thoughts? Did you read Robyn Hood Baba Yaga, or have you not had a chance yet?
I read Robyn Hood Baba Yaga. I was really excited because I just read Grim Fairy Tales 63, and there's so much tie-in. Like, I felt like I was reading the next issue of Grim Fairy Tales almost. Like, it was just, but like from a different perspective. So I think it'll be really exciting for the fans, like once they get both copies on their hands, to be like, oh, okay, what is this big thing leading up to? And I talked a little bit with Dave on the show that I hosted, was that last week, 2 weeks ago? I talked about the world building within the Cthulhu arc. So I'm really excited.
That's something that Zenescope just does extremely well. And again, if somebody's joining us for the first time, we're Zenescope, we're an indie publisher. And something that we do that not all publishers have access to is that our writing team of David and Dave, our publishing team, they have the opportunity, because we are privately owned, they have the opportunity to add characters into different storylines. So a lot of what Casey's referencing is our ongoing Grim Fairy Tales storyline, whereas we'll talk about a certain character or a certain thing that's happening, and then that character or some item or some ripple effect will happen in another completely different storyline.
Yeah.
And we'll also lead you on that path. So a lot of times you'll notice in books, like a lot of comic publishers do, there'll be see this storyline, so you know where you are. We'll give you like kind of like a 2 or 3 sentence of like, oh, this is where they're kind of at, but like see this storyline to see the full story of why these characters feel this way and the emotions behind it.
Yeah, that's true of my Van Helsing issues too. I have had Dave and Dave have had me thread certain other character stories through these one-shots. For example, I did Hour of the Witch with Gretel earlier this year. That touches on and spins out of a bit of what Gretel was doing. And now in this upcoming Van Helsing and Mystere story, we're setting up major things for Mystere, even though it's in Helsing's title. So yeah, it's always been a cool way to sort of tell long-form story over a shorter period of time by having these characters sort of migrate from title to title.
Yeah, super, super interesting. So today's new release, Robyn Hood Baba Yaga. Again, next week's release, Van Helsing, Flesh of Blood. Another release that we have today is our Monster Planet graphic novel. I'll read the synopsis really, really quickly. It's $20 in our web store right now, written again by our own Joe Brescia. Mankind has been all but wiped out, decimated by a virus that turns into primal beasts. Only a handful of humans are left struggling to survive in a hostile world, but scientists have discovered a cure. They must call on monsters out of our nightmares, vampires, werewolves, and more, and who somehow hold the key to mankind's survival. Now, one team is in a race against time to find the Lord of the Vampires and convince him to help save that which he despises most, man. So again, Monster Planet graphic novel in our web store right now, $19.99. Best thing about our graphic novels is that you get a full storyline, which is incredible. So start to finish, you'll know exactly what happens in the storyline. Casey, did you read this story?
I did not read this one.
Pat, did you read
this?
This
was
story?
Another episode of. I had no idea when this was coming out.
Was this one previously done as single issues, or was it just?
Yeah.
It's older, right?
Yes.
I think I did actually.
I don't know what the original release date was on it, but I can find out right now.
Yeah, that might have been toward the tail end of when I was on staff.
And, you know, I'd like to talk about something like very briefly. So Joe came on NCW recently and we had a good chat about writing and stuff. And it's incredible to see Joe's name on so many things. But he did say that he was going to try to take a step back from writing on that NCW episode. So I'm interested to see if that happens.
Really?
Not going to lie. Yes, he did say it on NCW. He's like, I'm going to try to not write as much. But, you know, I don't know if I believe him. So
Aaron Greenhouse says it's from 2020, I think just before COVID.
Interesting. I'm not sure if I'm thinking of a different series.
Well, there was also Monster Survival Guide. I feel like we branded Monster on a couple of things.
There was one I'm thinking of something different, I think, because there was one that a friend of mine ghost wrote under the name Joe Tyler.
Oh my God, wait, were you okay? So last week, hold on.
Yeah.
Doesn't know, Pat. Doesn't know
what's gonna happen. That's the one. David Ross said it.
So a couple of NCW last week, I had Ralph on, and I have a couple of Grim Fairy Tale books in my belongings, and some of them that I took from the office are actually in different languages.
Yes.
So I kept going to this one name, like it would say Ralph Tedesco, and here we go,
Joe Tyler.
Yeah. And so I said to Ralph, I was like Joe trying out something? And he said on the episode that a couple people ghost wrote under Joe Tyler.
Right. So I'll tell you a bit more on that.
I'm interested. Yes, please.
Those books that you have in your hand, that was when Joe Tyler was Joe Brush's pen name.
Okay.
That was early on. And then when I came on, there was a time where we had some writers who were doing children's books as well, who weren't entirely okay with being associated when covers had exclusive like swimsuit versions, you know? So we wanted to work with them, but they couldn't use their name if we were able to use the covers for conventions. So we talked about it and we asked if they would want a pen name, and they were okay with using a company's pen name. And we talked about it, and we thought it'd be funny if we resurrected Joe Tyler. So 2014 Joe Tylers and on are ghost written by someone else.
So I have to ask Joe or Dave, like, will we ever use written by Joe Tyler again? Like, will anybody take up this with ghostwriter or pen name?
I mean, there's a long tradition of Joe Tyler in Zenescope, so maybe. And yeah, it's funny, like there have also been other created ghost written names that I won't say what it was, but yeah, it's been interesting.
We're learning this Zenescope trivia really quick. Yeah, no, I saw the books. There were a couple of books, and I'm like, it's this Ralph Tedesco and Joe Tyler. I was like, this is Joe. Oh, so David, will Joe Tyler, like, tell me, I need to know, are we getting a story written by Joe Tyler anytime soon? Because in my time at Zenescope, I have not seen one, and that's only been about a year and a half.
I think we should bring Joe Tyler as a character into the Grimm universe.
Oh, you're right. Oh my God, that would be Pat. Will you write your next story and pen name it Joe Tyler?
I think so.
Consider, please. Again, today we are talking about our two releases, which was Robyn Hood, Baba Yaga, and our graphic novel release, which is Monster Planet. You can get those both in our web store right now, whenever you get a chance. And we are going to have Pat on next week, NCW hosted by our own Casey, who is to the left of me. I hate screens. Okay. Yeah. So you have the opportunity to hear a little bit more about Van Helsing Flesh and Blood. But thank you so much, Pat, for joining us today. I'm really glad that I had you on so I could learn a little bit about Joe Tyler, because I was just talking about this last Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun topic. I remember asking about it too, because when I got my first Grimm gigs, I read everything, and it was very noticeable that the credits changed from Joe Tyler to Joe Brushes. I was like, it has to be the same guy. So I talked to them, and that was one of my first questions, and the other was Sela's last name inspired by Eminem?
Was it?
Ralph forgets. I think that it's such a famous last name. I'll be very surprised if no. And plus, Ralph loves Eminem, so I think so.
That's my favorite thing about having Ralph on as like a historian, because he doesn't remember like a lot of stuff that happened, and then he'll be like, no, yeah, wait, no. So before, when we used to do the 101 episodes for like the VCons, we would have to go through like 2 or 3 sessions, because Ralph would be like, I don't know, ask Pat. I don't know, ask Dave. I don't know, ask Joe.
There he is. Ralph is here.
I know.
Yeah, I think that.
Joe, did Ralph, did you ever write under Joe Tyler? Like, I know we talked about this last week, but like, because Joe Tyler became a ghostwriter name, did you ever write under Joe Tyler? Please reply. Bling twice if yes. Maybe. What kind of answer is that?
We all definitely contributed plot to the enigma of Joe Tyler, for sure.
Noted.
Oh, I want to say, I will be at Zenescope VIP Philly. That's happening later this month, and I'm bringing a Destiny New York trading card that has my characters Logan and Taylor cosplaying as Robyn Hood and Liesl Van Helsing. That's going to be free for anyone who goes to the thing. It's going to be in your VIP box. And also, if you're not going, you can catch it on my Etsy, where all Destiny New York trading cards are.
And that's a Nei art, right?
Sure is. Yeah, a holographic Nei. It's going to sparkle rainbow when you see it.
Pat, I know that you won't have a table at New York, but you are going to New York, right?
Actually, I can announce for the first time now, I will have a table. I'm splitting it with a friend of mine. She got offered a last-minute table, and we are doing it, so I will be at New York for sure now.
Cool. Okay, cool. So I will make a note to bring. I was going to ask, because then I was like, oh, we'll have you come like sign on a certain day or something. But
let's do it for sure.
We'll make sure that we pack, or we have some. Obviously, we always bring Robyn Hood Origin and The Darkness and the Light, and we'll have the box set. But Pat can always sign those at New York.
Cool. Yeah, let's just not do Saturday. Any other day is good. I'm helping her because she has to go do other stuff Saturday, so I'm going to run the whole booth then. But Friday, Sunday, I think Thursday is fine, so it's all good.
Cool.
But don't forget, I need help with this fantasy shit. I don't really know what to do right now.
Everybody comment which tight end should Pat pick up?
Wait, so how do I move Georgie boy? Do I put him on bench?
So yeah, but at this point your bench is probably full.
It's not. I have one empty slot.
Okay, then you should be able to pick up a player.
Yeah, take out Amari Cooper if.
Wait, what?
Take out Amari Cooper if your bench is full. He sucks.
Oh no, I have one bench slot. So
Amari Cooper does not suck. Amari Cooper is also old though.
All right, but who do I pick now? Like, how do I find someone else?
Who's your top choices as tight ends?
Hold on, add player, and then I can select tight ends, right?
Mm-hmm. Type in TE. Yep.
Why do they call it that though? You know. Let's see. The top tight end is Mike Gesicki. But that's kind of like a red flag, though, you know? Like, I feel like...
What is this NCW?
All right, so I'll add Mike Gesicki.
Don't even.
All right, so Mike is.
Well, as Pat does this, can I tell a quick funny story? So I'm in an NFL margins pool. And if you guys don't know what an NFL margins pool, basically what it is that every single week you pick one game and you pick one team off that game. And if they win, you get as many points as they win by. Currently in second place out of 50 people. So that's great. So Ralph and I had a really long discussion about it. And I was like, I was between 3 games, Titans and the Giants, the Jets and the Ravens. And I don't remember who the third game was. So, I didn't pick that game. So I was going to pick the Titans and the Giants. And Ralph is like, do not pick the Titans and the Giants. That is such a bad pick. Make sure that you pick the Ravens and Jets. So I ended up picking the Ravens and Jets, which ended up working out for me. Well, I come to find out that last night that Ralph did a survivor pool and he picked the Titans and the Giants and he picked the Titans and they lost to the Giants. So it's kind of funny that he was like, do not pick this one pick. And then he went and did it. I don't know if he was trying to lead me astray or what he was doing. No, David, I did not pick Dallas to win because I knew they wouldn't beat the Bucs. But in a margins pool, you can never pick that team again. So I can never pick the Ravens to win again. So this week's actually going to be really hard because there are a lot of very competitive games and I can't. Ralph, your strategy failed. Okay.
So guys, I am on my list now and I picked Mike Gesicki. And now next to everyone, it says drop. I have to drop somebody now.
Oh, see, okay, so it is making you drop someone. Sometimes it does that.
Why did it say empty slot? Like it still says IR empty, but
it won't let you add anybody to IR. That means your bench is full, so you have to drop somebody. So I can't.
My bench is Miles Sanders, RB, Rashad Penny, RB, Darnell Money, WR, Mooney. I wish it was money. That would be sick. Jamal Williams, RB. Garrett Wilson, WR. Wide receiver. Oh, yeah.
Yes, and RB is running back. So how many extra...
DJ Clark, wide receiver, and Khalil Herbert. Imagine your name is DJ,
You have a lot of wide receivers on your bench, so maybe you should drop a wide receiver.
All right. I'm not feeling Garrett that much. He seems like he has a really upset face. I feel like he's going to bring some emotional drama to this season. All right. Garrett is gone, dude.
AJ, completely agree. I have no faith in the Cowboys this season.
What happened to this is our year?
I never said this is our year.
Yes,
I never
thought. I will pull up the Facebook comment right now.
Oh, I did that as a joke. I never thought the Cowboys were going to be good this year, mainly because Zeke's really old. Dak is very high injured at this point and will be. More this year, I'm very invested in my NFL margins pool, and I just entered another pool. I'm sorry, I don't care as much about our fantasy football. I care a lot about my other. There's not that much money in this league. In the other ones, I can make thousands. So.
Wait, so is this about making money? We can make money off of this?
Yeah, if you win, that's why you had to pay.
Yeah, but there's not as much money there's not as much money in this, so I don't care as much. Like in my other league, I can make thousands, so I care a lot about those.
Okay.
And I would like to know that you knew, Ralph, that I didn't think the Cowboys were going to be good this year. And I also think the Eagles have the world's easiest schedule this year. But I will also say that they almost lost to the Lions after being up by 30 points. And that was very entertaining. And I really wish it would have happened. No. Anyway, Pat, let's wrap this up. How can we help you?
Oh, I'm good now. I'm all set.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you picked up a tight end.
Oh,
you picked up Gesicki, as
That's
you
right.
said.
Oh yeah. And now I know how to do this. Now, if someone becomes Q or something else, I can handle it, I think.
So again, today's NCW, we talked about our 2 latest releases. You can head to Zenescope.com to check those out. This is a very special NCW where I fight with Ralph half the time and we talk about fantasy football. So some upcoming things that you will need to know. Next week's release is Flesh of Blood, like we said, and Another Bell. I don't know if Casey will have Dave on. I leave it up to her, but Pat will be on next week with Casey to talk about it then. other stuff that you guys want to know, this week's NCW collectible cover. As you guys know, every time on NCW, we give away a showcase version of the collectible cover. You can get this collectible cover, not the showcase version, on www.zenescope.com right now if you want to. This week's winner was...
Dun, 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 dun. Albert won.
Albert. Congratulations,
Woo.
Albert. Woohoo. This week's stipulation, which is coming up for our VCon that is happening this week, is that you will either buy a pack 1 or 2 or 3. And if you buy one of those, you will be entered to win our NCW showcase. So, woohoo.
3 packs this time.
So it's going to be
Get Sicky is so funny, dude.
It's going to be a crazy VCon this week. So make sure that you check it out. Our movie club will be happening in 2 weeks, and they will talk about that soon. But the other really big event that's taking place is our VIP event that will be taking place next weekend. Both Pat will be there, Casey will be there, our writing team will be there, our publishing team / writing team, almost the entire Zenescope staff. I will not be there, but everybody else will be there. So you guys will have a fantastic time in Philadelphia, partying it up. I'm sure it will be really great. Oh, look, Raven's on.
Yeah, Raven's comments always, he flirts way too hard with me. He makes me very uncomfortable. He's always talking about my body. He's objectifying me. It's
I literally read all of Raven's Facebook. If you guys aren't friends with Raven on Facebook, it's very entertaining. Raven, you're an entertaining person. And so some of the things that he writes about Pat Shan makes me laugh. That's the way she put it.
It's so strange having Fat Cisco obsessed with me, but it just it's just constant, dude. It's just constant. I have to say, Casey, this is egregious. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but there you are with your fucking, sorry, I shouldn't curse on this thing, shiny Sylveon, and you haven't opened my gift since day one.
I'm sorry.
Casey, get on Pokemon Go. What are you doing out here?
Right after this episode, I promise.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly.
So the VCon this week, the VIP event next weekend, then movie club, and then our very last in-person event will be taking place less than a month away from now. We said it, New York Comic Con booth 3037. Come see us. Our staff will be there for the final event to sign whatever you'd like. We are going to have a really cool booth setup. So if you want to see the really legit setup that we'll have, it will be awesome. Brian wants to be your Pokemon Go friend, Pat. So make sure that this happens.
I mean, I'll do this right now. If anyone wants to add me, my thing is my trainer code. I'm going to say it once: 7663 3171 2842. I'll add people today. After today, that's it.
Cursing still counts in sign language. Anyway, so that is it on our NCW episode. Make sure that you tune in every Wednesday. The next opportunity that you'll have, again, to talk to everybody, is our VCon later this week. Then Monday, with Coffee with Casey and Noah, and then next Wednesday with Casey and Pat on NCW. That's Zenescope, where you come for the covers, but you stay for the stories. We'll see everybody next Wednesday at 3 p.m.